A man got caught sexually extorting teenagers, and you won't believe how he did it or the sentence that he got for it. So, in August 2020, a 17-year-old victim went to the Siloam Springs Police Department to report that she had been getting strange, odd, and harassing messages on her phone through Instagram. She was able to show police messages that she got from someone using the username It's Just Me 6767. It's Just Me had sent messages to the victim saying things like, "Show me your bra. What are you wearing? Send pic now. Well, if you want to see my face and know who I am, you'll do whatever I say. Maybe take it to your work and hang them around." According to the police, it did look like It's Just Me 6767 was deleting part of the messages that he was sending because the victim in the case asked him why he was deleting stuff. Now, I'm not clear on if this report is all about the same victim or different victims, but there is a victim listed that said that they received messages from It's Just Me 6767, and he had said that he had nude photographs of the victim from a few years earlier, and he wanted her to send him more nude pictures of herself. He said if she didn't send more nude pictures of herself, he would start sending the pictures that he had to her family, her friends, and to the people that she worked with. He said that he would hang them up for everyone to see. The victim was scared and she was confused because she didn't understand how It's Just Me 6767 knew where she worked. She had just started that job. The victim truly did not know who It's Just Me 6767 was. It was almost 2 years later, on Friday, June 24th, 2022, the police got a call from someone who saw an article about Matthew Nance. He had been arrested for sexual extortion a few days prior. The victim said that when she was 17 years old, she dated Matthew Nance and they broke up a few times, like you do sometimes whenever you're 17. When they would break up, he would get on social media and he would use fake profiles to send her pictures. According to this victim, Matthew Nance would make her do terrible things on video and send the videos to him, or he would expose her nude pictures that he already had, saying that he would send them to everyone she knew. So that was back in 2020. Now, in the fall of 2020, Matthew Nance contacted this victim again and told her that he wanted more sexual videos from her. If she didn't comply, he would post pictures, nude pictures that he had at the University of Arkansas and at her job for everyone to see. The username that Matthew Nance used to send the threats to the latest victim, the one who knew who Matthew Nance was because she dated him, was It's Just Me 6767. So things really started to come together as far as Matthew Nance being the offender that sent threats to the first person, because police called the first victim in this case and told her, like, hey, we have information that Matthew Nance is behind the username on Instagram, It's Just Me 6767. And that victim says it all makes sense now because that victim worked at the same place as Matthew Nance. He worked in one area where he had access to personnel files. Now, you have to understand that at the time that these victims came forward, Matthew Nance had already been charged with sexually extorting other teenage girls. He had been charged with the first case of extorting 4 teenage girls. After the information came out about that case, 10 more victims came forward as being victims of Matthew Nance and having been sexually extorted by Matthew Nance. On the original charged case, the victim in the case contacted police in April 2022. The victim was 17 years old. She said that she was in Walmart when a man named Matthew Nance, who worked for a bank, came up to her and asked her about setting up a checking or savings account. Now, she did end up setting up a checking or savings account, and when doing that, Matthew Nance asked for her phone in order to help her set up her online banking. She later started receiving messages on Snapchat asking for nude photos and saying that if she didn't do what he wanted her to do, he would send nude photos that he had obtained of her to her family and friends. Now, the victim in this case did not know who Matthew Nance was by his username, but she was able to look up his username and it did go back to Matthew Nance. So police went to Matthew Nance and like, hey, are you trying to extort this 17-year-old for photographs of her, and Matthew Nance is like, no, I wouldn't do that. So police went to Snapchat and were able to learn that Matthew Nance was indeed the owner of that account that was trying to extort this victim. Matthew Nance was questioned a second time, and that second time he did admit to being the one that tried to extort the 17-year-old. So he was arrested in that case. But once news came out in that case, then, like I said before, more people started to come forward. One victim came forward and told police that Matthew Nance had raped her and then tried to extort her for nude photographs. She said that Matthew Nance took a video of himself raping her in 2018 when she was intoxicated and passed out. There was one person that victim told that Matthew Nance raped her, and that victim told police that she didn't come forward because Matthew Nance had videos of her using drugs, and he threatened to release those videos on social media. She said that Matthew Nance knew how to control people, and he would threaten to release anything that might be viewed as damaging to them in order to get what he wanted. Another victim came forward and said that Matthew Nance had raped her when she was 16 years old, but she got the courage to come forward after all these other victims came forward because she was honestly afraid of Matthew Nance. That victim said that for a while she got messages on social media telling her to do things, send photos, whatever, claiming to know who it was that raped her, but she thought all along that the messages came from Matthew Nance because he was the one that raped her. There were something like 9 victims that came forward in this case saying that they had been extorted, raped, or otherwise affected by Matthew Nance. So this past week, Matthew Nance actually entered a guilty plea. He pled guilty to rape, engaging children in sexually explicit conduct to use in visual or print medium, conduct to use in visual or print medium, 7 counts of sexual extortion, distributing, possessing, or viewing matter depicting sexually explicit conduct involving a child, and video voyeurism. So, in exchange for his guilty plea, Matthew Nance was sentenced to 100 well-deserved years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Now, this isn't the end of Matthew Nance's cases, honestly, because he has a couple of cases that are still going through the courts in Washington County for similar things. So I doubt that they will actually add time to his sentences, seeing as how he's already got 100 years. But maybe if like the first case gets overturned, this will just be like in addition to, right?